Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into the story behind Braille. You know, that six-dot system. We want to explore how it came about and why it's still so important.
It really is an incredible story. Innovation, resilience, it's all in there. Louis Braille's life is quite the starting point.
Absolutely. So Louis Braille, born 1809, Couvray, France. His father worked with leather.
Right, a harness maker. And what's really striking is how supportive his parents were, especially given the times, limited resources, not much understanding of disability back then.
Yeah, I read his father actually taught him the alphabet, using, nails hammered into wood or leather, tactile learning from the start.
Exactly. Pretty forward-thinking for the era. It shows real dedication.
Then came the accident. He was only 3.
Just 3 years old. In his father's workshop, an accident with a sharp tool, probably an awl.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it injured one eye, and then infection spread sympathetic ophthalmia, they call it. By age 5, he was completely blind.
And the irony. A piercing tool, leading eventually to a system based on points. It's quite something, isn't it?
It really is. You have to wonder if that early tactile world, even through tragedy, shaped his thinking later on.
Makes sense. But his parents didn't give up on his education, did they?
Not at all. They made sure he learned. He did well in the local village school, apparently, showed real promise.
And that led to the scholarship.
Yes. When he was 10, 1819, he got a scholarship to the Royal Institute for Blind Youth in Paris, the first school like it anywhere in the world, founded by Valentin Haüy.
So, a big step. But what was education like for the blind then? Haüy was a pioneer, but...
Well, Haüy's method used embossed Latin letters. You could feel the shape of standard letters. But imagine trying to read that. It was incredibly slow. The books were huge and bulky.
And you couldn't write with it, right? Not independently.
Exactly. No way for students to write back. Plus, the conditions at the institute itself were, well, quite harsh. Austere living.
So Haüy opened a door, but the method wasn't really practical for, fluent literacy.
Pretty much. It was a start, but limited. Then came Charles Barbier.
Barbier and his night writing. Écriture nocturne. That arrived at the Institute around 1821.
That's right. Barbier developed it initially for soldiers, silent communication on the battlefield at night.
Interesting.
But he thought it might also work for people with visual or hearing impairments or even those who couldn't read traditional prints.
And his system used dots.
Yes, raised dots, but it was a phonetic system based on sounds, not spelling. And complex, using up to 12 dots in a 2x6 grid.
12 dots. That sounds quite large for one fingertip.
It was. Hard to read quickly. And it didn't have punctuation, numbers, or critically musical notation. Big limitation.
Okay, so here comes young Louis Braille. He sees Barbier's system.
Right. He would have been a teenager then. He saw the potential in using dots. The tactile idea was good, but he also immediately saw the flaws.
Like the phonetic part, the size.
Exactly. Not orthographic, too big. So around 1824, 1825, he was maybe 15 or 16. He started working on it, methodically refining it.
Trying things out.
Experimenting. He apparently tried dots and dashes initially, but settled on just points. He even used tools Barbier had donated to the school, adapting them.
And the breakthrough was?
The 6-dot cell, that brilliant 2x3 matrix, just 6 possible dot positions.
Which gives 63 combinations.
63 unique patterns, plus the blank space. Enough for letters, punctuation, numbers, contractions, everything. And crucially, small enough to be read easily with one fingertip.
Genius. So simple, yet so powerful. He even numbered the dots, right? Dots 1 to 6.
Yeah, a logical system. The first 10 letters use just the top 4 dots, for example. It's very structured.
And music. He was a musician himself, wasn't he? An organist.
Yes, a talented one. So musical notation was part of his system from the very beginning. He published it first in 1829. He was only 20.
Wow, 20.
The book itself, ironically, was printed using the old raised letter system.
Of course.
But a revised edition in 1837 used only his dot system.
He didn't stop there, though. There was this other system. Decapoint. Rapidgraph.
Right, around 1839. He realized the need to bridge the gap with sighted people. Decapoint used raised dots to form the actual shapes of standard alphabet letters.
So blind people can write letters that sighted people could just read visually.
Exactly. And Pierre-Victor Foucault later invented a machine, the rephograph, basically a kind of early typewriter, to make writing decapoint easier. Braille supported that too.
Amazing foresight. But it wasn't smooth sailing for his main 6-dot system, was it? The War of the Points.
No, not at all. Initially, the Institute's director, Dr. Pignet, was supportive, but his successor, a man named Dufault, he wasn't a fan.
Why not?
Dufau preferred a different tactile system and actually banned Braille's system around 1840. He confiscated the writing slates and styluses, even burned Braille books.
Burn the books? That's harsh.
Extremely. But the students knew how good it was. They kept using it in secret.
Good for them.
Yeah. Eventually, Dufau had to relent. Apparently, demonstrations by students in 1844 were very convincing, and maybe his assistant, Joseph Gaudet, helped change his mind.
So it finally got accepted.
Officially adopted in France in 1854, but sadly, that was 2 years after Louis Braille died in 1852.
Oh, no. He didn't live to see it fully adopted in his own country.
No. And international adoption took even longer. There was a whole debate, the War of the Points, particularly in the U.S., over competing systems. It wasn't until 1932 that a unified English Braille code based on the British system was agreed upon.
Wow, decades later. We should also touch on Braille, the person, the educator.
Definitely. He became a teacher at the Institute himself when he was just 17, taught many subjects.
And by all accounts, a really good one. Respected, loved by students.
Yes, dedicated, clear. His goal was empowerment through knowledge, to achieve dignity through knowledge, as he put it. Seems he was very generous, humble, resilient.
There's stories about his character, aren't there? Giving up posts, his will.
Yeah, like giving up an organist position he held, refusing a prestigious tutoring role. His will reportedly left his modest savings to benefit blind people. He died young, only 43, from tuberculosis.
Without much fanfare at the time, apparently.
Sadly, yes. Little public recognition initially.
But the legacy, it's just immense, isn't it?
Absolutely profound. It revolutionized literacy, independence, opportunity for blind individuals across the globe. It's adaptable to almost any language. Think of Helen Keller championing it.
And it's still relevant. It didn't just die out with computers.
Not at all. We have refreshable Braille displays, Braille e-readers. It's integrated with digital technology. Plus, specialized codes for math, music, science.
Nemeth code for math. Right.
Exactly. And fascinatingly, neuroscience shows that reading Braille activates the visual cortex in the brain, even in those blind from birth. It enhances tactile sensitivity, too.
Incredible. So his journey from that tragic accident to this elegant 6-dot solution, it fundamentally shifted things from very limited reading to full literacy and independence.
It truly did. It's a powerful story about how one person facing adversity can create something lasting. A system that empowers millions and keeps evolving, offering this unique pathway to knowledge and connection.
Testament to ingenuity and perseverance. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.